Assalamualaikum and a very good evening everyone, and welcome to our online session today. Thank you for joining us tonight. How are you everybody? Okay, for this session, Madam Rashida will share with us helpful tips for effective report writing. All of us know that report writing is in paper 2 for writing, question 3, part 3. Many students find it difficult to write a report. So for this session, Madam Rashida will share with us on how to tackle this two question effectively. We hope that this session will give you useful guidance on how to write effective, clear, and well-structured report. Okay, while we go on live, do write a comment. Drop a comment in the comment section to tell us where you are and where you are from so that we can get to know each other better. Okay, while the session is live, feel free to ask questions about English paper, especially questions regarding report writing, and we will try to answer them as best as we can. All right, before we start, I would like to introduce the man behind the screen, Cikgu Sufi, who are helping us today, who are helping us with our session tonight. All right. And now, before we start, it is my pleasure to introduce Madam Rashida Abu Bakar. Madam Rashida is an experienced English teacher in a government school, and she has been teaching English to Form 5 students for the past 16 years. She has a vast experience with SPM CFR English papers. Madam Rashida is also our Guru Cemerlang Bahasa Inggeris in the district. Are you ready? I'm ready. All right, without further ado, I present to you Madam Rashida.
Hi everyone. Okay, thank you Madam Aizatul for that brief introduction of me. So, hi everyone, good evening and welcome to this session meant to help everyone to write report, especially for SPM and also the upcoming trial examinations. Okay, so as usual, actually report writing is a question that um, I would say it is an underrated question because majority of the SPM candidates, they are reluctant to answer report, perhaps because of number one is the technicality of the question itself. It is quite difficult for the students to write a report, but actually um, it is pretty straightforward to answer a report because it requires you to come up with a very straightforward responses. Okay, so let's take a look at the objective for our session for tonight. So in this session, I would actually introduce to you guys the format and the register of report writing so that everyone is familiar on how to score uh, properly, like appropriate mark for CA. If you know the format and the register of report writing, then you are going to secure the CA marks. Second is in this session, I am going to show you the steps on writing paragraphs on what are you going to put into the paragraphs of report writing. Okay, so as the introduction of report writing, first of all, I believe that for part 3, okay, the first thing that you have to know when you would like to select the questions or the genre of essay that you want to answer in part 3, okay, there are 4 genres. Number 1 is story writing, report, review, and also article. Each and every single essay here, they have different purposes. Okay, so it's very important for you to understand the purpose of writing that particular essay. So first of all, when you are writing a report, there are 2 types of report that you are going to write. Okay, actually, first of all, is a common type of report that usually came up in SPM, which is a report to recall a past event. So that means there's a program organized by the school. So you as a secretary of a society, of a club, so you are going to actually describe what happened during the activity, during the program, what you learned, and what are some suggestions. So that's what has came up for previous year in SPM. Okay, the second form of report is actually the report to present the outcome of a survey. This one never came up in SPM, but actually there's a potential of it because I have seen this question came up in a few trial from states. Okay, and I believe that it is quite a good question. Okay, so what you have to write in this form of report is, for example, your school conducted a survey regarding a certain problems in your school. For example, the cleanliness of canteen, the condition of your school library and stuff. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to present the results that um, came up in the survey. Okay, perhaps in that particular report, you also need to explain the reason behind a problem or an issue. Okay, some of the question ask candidate to come up with the purpose and the objectives of conducting a program or conducting the survey. Next, the importance of the certain issue that is highlighted in the survey, in the report, and also lesson learned by by you as a participant, by the members, by the participant themselves. So you have to list some lessons. And last but not least is to give suggestions of improvement. Okay, so this one is very important. Report is written in formal tone, and out of so many genres of essays in SPM 119, report is, I would say, the most formal form of essay. Okay, so that means, okay, before that, how do we determine the tone of the essay that we are going to write? First of all, you need to know who this piece of writing is written to. Okay, who's the target audience? Is it your family? Is it your friend? Is it your teacher? Is it the school principal? Or maybe it is going to be put in the school magazine where the students read it, where the teachers read it. Okay, so you have to understand who is the target audience. Okay, if this, then usually report is written to the school principal, the teacher advisor, or the teacher, a teacher. So that's the reason why it has to be written in formal tone, and I will explain to you how to write in formal tone. All right, so formal tone in report actually refers to the style of writing. Okay, it has to be appropriate for official context because it's written to a teacher. It has to be formal, polite, and sound professional. All right, so it's straight to the point. It doesn't have to be so, flowery, using flowery languages like, using idioms and phrasal verbs. So just if you say that um, the toilet, the school toilet is dirty, you just say the school toilet is dirty. Okay, just deliver the straightforward message. Okay, the characteristic of a formal tone in report. Okay, first of all, it's very important for you to understand that in a report, you have to avoid giving personal opinions and emotions. So when you are avoiding personal opinion, that means you have to use the third person point of view, which means that you cannot, okay, I would say cannot use the word I, my, okay, anything that show your personal, okay, the first person point of view. So instead of you say that I am writing this report to explain, you can say that this report is written to. All right, so next one. Use clear and precise language. Okay, so I would suggest to my students, every time when you come up, if you want to come up with a data or something, for example, if you're writing a report on a survey, so please state, okay, please state how many students, okay, 42% of students agreed that, okay, blah, blah, blah. Instead of saying that a lot of many students, okay, so please state an exact number, use specific terms. All right, next. Um, Use standard grammar and vocabulary. So the most important part of this slide is please avoid using contractions. And because something that I have to remind you guys, contractions are only allowed to be used in email and also dialogue. So um, if it's like other essays like article, you are not supposed to use contractions in it. So I believe that majority of Malaysian candidate, SPM candidate, love to use the terms gonna, kinda. So please don't use it, not just in report, but always avoid it in any form of essay. Okay. So these are some of the slangs or informal phrases that we usually use in our writing or speaking. For example, a bunch of students from my school. Instead of using a bunch of, maybe you can use the term several students participated in. But instead of using several students, maybe you can give an exact number of the students. Okay. Um, get rid of I would say that these slang or informal terms, these are the terms that we use as our, um, in our daily conversation. You guys, instead of saying you guys, why not you just say everyone or all participants instead of these guys. All right. So please avoid the use of the use of informal terms in report writing. Okay. So instead of using the word a lot of, maybe because we use a lot of on daily basis. There's a lot of students in front of me, but maybe you can use numerous and the word many, several, and stuff. All right. Next, the use of passive voice. Okay. When it comes to report writing, please practice. Okay. The use of passive voice when appropriate lah, not all throughout the essay that you have to write passive sentences. Okay. But some of the sentences written in the, for example, introduction paragraph has to be written in passive voice. For example, that I am writing this report. That is a active voice, right? I am writing this report to blah blah blah. Instead of using that kind of term, maybe you can start using this report is written to describe, explain, and stuff. So that is a passive voice. So that is an appropriate, I would say, term to be used in report writing. Okay. So as you can see the example here, we conducted the experiment. This is obviously active voice. So we would like to avoid the use of these sentences when necessary. So some of the sentences can be written in active voice, but to maintain the objectivity of report writing, maybe some sentences, I will show you later, has to be written in passive voice to keep that objectivity. All right, next, use polite and professional diction. Okay, you would have to, okay, avoid using idioms eh, in your report writing. So idioms are advised to be used widely or macam frequently in story writing because story has informal tone. So if you know a lot of idioms, maybe you can apply that somehow in review or maybe in, yeah, as I mentioned just now, in story writing, but avoid using idioms in apa nama a report. Okay, so use formal vocabulary. How do we know formal vocabulary is formal vocabulary is those words are not used in daily conversations. Okay, it's like I want to buy some bread from Speedmart. Okay, instead of using the word buy, maybe you can substitute the word buy with the word purchase. Okay, so the example here, sometimes when we have to give suggestion, so usually as the students we have to think outside. We have to think outside the box. Yeah, I understand that think outside the box is coming up with creative ideas. So instead of using the idioms, maybe you can just straight to the point saying that we need to have innovative ideas. All right. All right, so this is, I really hope that everybody can see. You don't have to read. This is just a layout of a report. Okay, first of all, we start with um, the top part of the report. Okay, the thing that I would say the teacher will look forward if they would like to assess a report is this part. Okay, this is the format. I would say to my students that every time when you say that I'm writing a report, teacher, as my answer, that's the first thing that I want to see. If you don't have this, I would doubt it's a report. Okay. Next. Okay, there are many format of reports that I've learned and I have taught before. Some of the reports, previously has reported by and then signature. Okay, but this is a new, I would say not so new lah. This is another format of report with to, from, and also title. Since you have from here, so you don't have to write reported by underneath your report. Okay, it's like repetition of it. So you have written your name here, so you don't have to sign underneath your report. So this one is what we call as subheading. So every paragraph should have their subheading. Okay, so the first paragraph is the introduction, so you can just write introduction as the subheading of it. All right, next, subheading number 2 is usually taken from the question itself. Okay, so look at bullet number 1. So that bullet number 1 is supposed to be the heading for paragraph number 2, because you are answering bullet number 1 in paragraph number 2. Okay, another I would say advice that I would give to the candidate. Okay, please make sure that um, each bullet is answered in different paragraphs. Okay, because that um, matter will actually affect your organization, because under organization, paragraphing is also an aspect that is assessed in organization other than policy devices. So when you mixed up all of the points together in one paragraph, so I would say that that's not a good choice actually. So each bullet or each question has to be answered in one paragraph. Okay, but that's not the case for review. Okay, maybe one day I'll have another class for review. I'll explain to you what should you do for each paragraph in review. So again, for paragraph 3, you start with a subheading and you answer the question inside that paragraph for that particular bullet. Okay, you have the third bullet for paragraph 4, and finally the closing. The subheading for closing is just closing or conclusion. Okay, up to you. All right, so this is the layout of it. So there's a format here. Okay, that has to, from, and also title. Some people write subject, no matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, because the subject is also the title is also the title. There's subheading to it, and also the paragraph. Okay, so each bullet has is written in different paragraph with its own subheading. Okay, so let's move on to this question. Okay, so I can see some of the comments here saying that I'm from Penang, I'm from Selangor. Thank you for joining, guys. I really appreciate the support. Hi, Chen Hao. Okay, I hope Chen Hao, you are um, a candidate of SPM this year. So wish you all the best. Okay. All right. So this question is taken from our very own module tuition Syarani from Perak. So this is one of the questions that I found very nice. Okay, because I've seen this question last year. If I'm not mistaken, from Laka. It's just that they changes the some of the words in the question. Okay. So now, recently, the environmental club members in your school volunteered at an animal rescue center. So by reading the first sentence there, you understand that this is a report of a past event. You are not reporting a survey, you are reporting a past event. Okay. So an event, a volunteer program or a volunteer activity at an animal rescue center or at animal shelter. So you have to write a report um, on how to improve the conditions of the place. So this is not actually the question. You have to read this part. Okay, the bullets there. So those bullets are actually the real question that you have to answer. So the first one is the conditions of the animals. The conditions of the animals is different from the conditions of the animal shelter. Please be careful with the question. So when the question asks for the conditions of the animal, you have to describe the animal, not the shelter. Understand? Okay, so the second one is the activities. So note that the word activities here is written, sorry, the word activities there is written with um, es at the back. Okay, that means it requires plural responses. Okay, which means that you have to state more than one activities. So maybe at the animal rescue center, you can come up with, you know, any kind of activity. Like when I told my students, if you think that you want to go to the rescue center and have a karaoke session. Hi, Mama Ashraf. Okay, you want to have like quiz and stuff on animals. It's up to you. It's your own creativity, but activities has to be activities. Okay, please don't divert yourself from the question. When the question requires your activity, don't talk about the benefits of the activity because it's not asked in the question. Okay, what you learn. So you have to list lessons. And I would suggest candidate, if you find out that this question does not indicate how many responses you have to give, whether it is singular or plural, always give plural. Unless the question said that a lesson you learn, okay, during the activity. So this is a very clear indication stating that you have to give only one answer. Okay, so other than that, if you know, if you read questions like why you love the activity, always give more than one reason. Okay, so suggestions on how to improve. So suggestions here stated with S, so that means you have to give more than one suggestions. Okay, and later on I'll highlight, if you want to give suggestion, always go with the specific suggestions. And how to make suggestions specific, I'll explain to you later. Okay, how to improve. Okay, so that means there must be some stakeholders who has to take action in order to improve the conditions of the animal shelter. Okay, so I believe that this is a very general kind of advice given by teachers across the world. Okay, when it comes to writing, okay, especially last time when I furthered my study, you know, my lecturer always remind me that before you write your thesis, before you write your chapter, please, you know, plan what you have to write. And obviously, that's what we have to do, even though we are just writing an essay for SPM. We have to plan what we want to write. So the plan has to start with the first paragraph. What should we highlight in the first paragraph? And I would say that the first paragraph of a report consists of 5W. Okay, the first paragraph of report consists of 5W. It doesn't matter what kind of report that you are writing, the first paragraph always indicates the 5Ws of what you are reporting. Okay, if you're reporting about a program, it has to talk about what the program is. Okay, 5W, what, where, when, who, and why. Okay, so you talk about what the program is all about. What is the name of the program? If there's a name for it, give a name. Okay, next, where? The venue. And always go from the specific to general. Okay, for example, if you state that we had a volunteer program at an orphanage, okay, that is very general. Orphanage, that's everywhere has orphanage, but um what is the name of that orphanage? Okay, so maybe you can rumah kasih sayang in Penang. Okay, so Penang is a general place. You need to have the name of the venue as a specific place. So the next one is you're going to talk about when. Okay, sorry, when. So talk about day of the activity, date of the activity, and time. Okay, when it began until it ended. So, for example, if you are reporting a survey, okay, you are not going to have day and date because usually the survey will be conducted to a period of time from this date to another date. So please state what dates are involved. All right. Maybe time is not stated there in a survey report, but when it comes to program, okay, a report of a program, so please indicate. I usually tell my students that when you talk about when, always go for day, date, time. Okay, if you talk about afternoon, what time? Okay, what time of the afternoon? Okay, next, who? So, when you are reporting, you have to indicate two, I would say, stakeholders in that involved in that particular activity. Okay, the first one is the organizer. Okay, who's the organizer? Who conducted? Who initiated the survey ke ataupun the program itself? Okay, so the organizer is always indicated in the question. For example, in this question just now, it stated was in the environmental club of your school. So you just have to write the organizer is the environmental club of SMK something. Okay, that's all. Okay, so we are talking about who took part. So obviously, when it comes to report writing, you are always reporting about school activities. Okay, so usually the participants of that particular program is usually school students lah, okay, ataupun club members. Okay, but bear in mind that usually the teachers are also involved as the accompanying teacher ke, teacher advisor ke, who actually went to that program or took part in the program. But the most important thing is you have to state how many, okay, how many of these members and how many teachers actually participated in that program. Okay, that's one of the tips that I can give you. Instead of just saying that the club members, the members of environmental club took part in the volunteer program. Okay, that's not enough lah. That's not enough information for you to share in your report. Okay, next, we can talk about why. Right? If there's no question after that, I mean, like in the the first bullet, it doesn't actually ask you the purpose or the objective of the program. Then you can state the objective of the program in the first paragraph. So, why did your club organize this program, or why did your club conducted this survey? Okay, there must be a reason behind it. Okay, to know the condition of blah blah blah, or to investigate the issue of blah blah blah. Okay, so if there's a program, maybe you can say that this program was conducted to. There must be a verb after that, to assist, to help, to educate, and stuff. Okay, so when we talk about the animal shelter, okay, the program at animal shelter, we know that the organizer is the environmental club of a school, of your school lah. This is not my school. Okay, so just write, but my advice is don't write the name of your school lah. Just create a name of a school. Okay, that sounds nice lah. Jangan, don't write anything yang nonsense. Okay, who took part? Obviously, it has to be members of the club. But remember, you have to indicate how many members of the club took part in the program. Okay, next, teacher advisors. Usually when there's a program, okay, at school, there always be teacher advisors who came along in that particular program. So how many teachers advisors involved? State. Okay, so my advice to the candidate, okay, if the number is below 10, if the number is below 10 and below, please spell the words. Okay, for example, 3, THREE. Okay, but after 11 and 11 and above, you can just write the number. There's no problem with it. Okay, so let's talk about day. Okay, what day? Just randomly state a day, and then the date. It doesn't have to match. Okay, and the time. Since this is a program, the program should start from a time to time. Okay, so just randomly write the beginning of the program and the end of the program. Okay, next. When I said the venue has to be specific and objective, this is what I mean. This is the specific name of a venue. Paws Animal Rescue Center in Ipoh. So Ipoh is the general venue of that specific venue. So just by stating this to Paws Animal Rescue Center, I believe that it's not enough. So maybe you can say that Paws Animal Rescue Center in Ipoh, in KL, in in Penang and stuff. All right. So when it comes to objective, just think about why. Okay. Why the environmental club organize this program? Obviously to help, okay, to help what? To help the rescue center. So first we can say that to assist instead of the word help, because the word help is very general, very common. So I would substitute the word help with the word assist in cleaning and improving the shelter environment. Okay, so that's the objective. It could be just a short, to educate the members of the club about something. That is a very general objective of something. Okay, so but this one is very specific, to assist in cleaning and improving the shelter environment, because the word improving is there in the question. So I just take that idea from the question and put it into um, the planning. So we have this plan. Okay, it doesn't have to be in the form of table like this. Okay, usually last time when I was a student, I just had, just scribble on the question paper. Who? Teacher. How many teacher? Three. Okay, students. How many? Sorry, club members. How many? Okay, then where? I just create a name. I don't take too much. Anything that you can say. Okay, just for example, in front of my computer now, there's a book called Target. So just Target Animal Rescue Center. It's like, it's okay. You can go with it. Okay, so um, this is just planning, and I believe that planning before you write is a very crucial step. Okay, so first advice. Okay, use passive sentence when you write. Um, Usually when we start the report, okay, uh, we are going to say that I am writing this report to describe blah 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 blah. Okay, instead of starting that sentence with I am writing this report, maybe you can use passive sentence. This report is written to describe, okay, a volunteer program in Paws Animal Rescue Center. Okay, so now avoid the use of word I. So every time when you want to write, remember that because you cannot use the word I, okay, you have to use the third person point of view, which is, for example, you can use the word we, you can use the word everybody, all participants, all students and teachers. Um, but in this case, not all students and teachers of this SMK attended the event. And all members, all the participants and teacher advisors attended the program. Okay, so somehow when you go further, you can always use the word we instead of my friends and I. Okay, don't just put yourself into the frame. Okay, I know that you are part of the program, but you are reporting on behalf of everybody. So that's the reason why you are not supposed to you are actually the representative. Okay, so for example, you are the representative of your school and you would like to present something to the Prime Minister, and you say that, um, Sir, Datuk Sri, I would like to have a better computer lab in my school. So that indicated that only you would like to have that request. But instead, you can say that all of the students in SMK Seri Murni would like to have a better computer lab. So you know that this is a collective request. Okay, so same goes to report. You are reporting collectively. So that's the reason why you are supposed to avoid the use of the word I and my. Okay, so when you are writing the first paragraph, as I mentioned just now, use 5W to brainstorm the idea. Okay, so the first paragraph should actually explain to the reader, okay, everything, all the details about the program, all the details about the survey, all the details about everything that you are reporting about. Okay, so since this one, we are starting our report with this word. This report is written to describe. Okay, this report is written to describe. There are some alternatives to it that make it look more professional. Okay, maybe you can use the word aimed. Okay, the word aim here. This report is aimed to explain what? Explain a volunteer program in Paws Animal Rescue Center. The purpose of this report is to outline. Okay, um, it was not supposed to be was because you are writing it for this is like for now and forever. Okay, this report aims to describe. So these are some alternatives that make the starting of your report or the introduction paragraph looks more professional. Okay, so I would like to start with this. This report is aimed to explain what. Okay, but bear in mind that you after the word explain, don't write the word about. Okay, to explain what? To explain. Um, sorry. To explain the volunteer program. What is the program? The volunteer program carried out by. Okay, carried out. This is a passive sentence. This report is aimed to explain the volunteer program carried out by siapa? The Environmental Club of SMK Ceremony. Okay, that's it. Enough. Okay, don't overwrite lah, or else you are going to make mistakes when writing long sentences. Okay, so just if you are struggling with language, if you are an intermediate student, so I would say that have one or two or three information in a paragraph is sorry in a sentence is enough. Okay, next. The program was organised. We are talking about bila. So, program ini dianjurkan bila. The program was organised on, so you can come up with a day. Okay, Saturday. When? Okay, Saturday. Just comma. Just put a comma. I found out that majority of candidates in Malaysia, they do not use the comma. I don't understand why. And sometimes when we speak, we put pauses in between our speech, right? So that same applied to writing. Okay, sometimes when we write, there must be pauses in between the information. So perhaps you can just put Saturday, then put a date there. Sorry, then put a date there. Okay, 17th June. Some students ask me, is it necessary to put the THST? If you put it, that's better. Okay. If you don't put it, that's not a problem. But if you put it, that's better lah. Okay. So next, maybe we can have where. Okay. It is organized on Saturday at a specific place. Okay. At an impulse animal rescue center. So come up with the specific idea first. Okay. Located in, instead of saying Falls Animal Rescue Center in Ipoh, maybe you can use the word located to make your report better. Located in Ipoh Perak. Okay, the program began at, just now when I mentioned you have to put a specific time where it started and when it ended. So put it there. So if you are writing about a survey, the survey started at certain date and ended on certain date. Okay, so when it comes to time, you have to use the word preposition of at. Okay, so what time it started and what time it ended. Okay, and next, okay, so instead of saying that 25 students, 25 members of the club, you can start with a total of, then only you insert the number. 25 members of the club. Okay, accompanied by the teacher lah. Usually the teacher will come along. Okay, if it's a program. Okay, but last year in SPM question it came up about talent show kan. But you can say that 25 club members along with three teacher advisors organize the talent show. No problem. Okay, participated in the program. Okay, finally, answering the question why. Because the question why, the objective and the purpose, they are not questioned in the question. Tidak ditanya dalam soalan. So I believe that perhaps you can add on the objective in the first paragraph to make the report more specific. Okay, why? Because every time when we organize something, there must be an objective to it, right? So what is the objective? The objective is to assist in cleaning and improving the shelter environment. So that's it. Okay, but one more advice to the candidate. Okay, every time when you ended a sentence, please put a full stop. Okay, it may look so small, but it's very important. Okay, another thing that I would suggest. But even this is not part of report. Just now when I say you are not supposed to use the word I in report. Okay, but this apply for other essay. If you want to write saya in English, okay, I has to be written in capital letter like this. And I found that no, not majority lah, that is a very exaggerated statement. I found a lot of candidates, including in my school, every time when they want to write saya, okay, I ini kan, I love my teacher, I enjoy the lesson and stuff. They always use the small letter I, and this is a mistake. Okay, so be careful when you use the word I in your writing, which is not in report. Okay, that's the reason why report is a safe, safe form of essay. Don't write I in small letter. This is a mistake. All right. So next one. Okay, the first question. You have the first paragraph, and let's move on to planning the second paragraph. So the second paragraph asks you about the conditions of the animals, and I have never been to an animal shelter before. Okay, I have been to zoo, but um, I had a question to my students last time when we did this activity. I asked them why can't you find monkeys? Monkey, pula. Crocodile, tiger, and cheetah in animal shelters. Okay, why? Why not? Okay, because animal shelters are usually for stray animals. And cheetah and tiger and elephant, they are wild animals. They don't belong to, you know, to our area. So usually animals in animal rescue centers are usually stray animals like cats, dogs, sometimes monkey, sometimes people hit monkey, and um, the rescuer found the monkey and they treat the monkey. Okay, sometimes. So this is an AI generated image because because I cannot find any decent photo of an animal shelter. So we can see that from so sad, from the image. Okay, there are you can imagine the condition of the dog lah. So many dogs in one room. They are living in an overcrowded space, in a, maybe you can use the word, in a confined space, in a small space. Okay, if you cannot find the right word. Okay, but this is a crowded place, so overcrowded because there's too many dogs in one space. They are dirty and unkempt. Okay, so you can describe, even though I don't see any dirt on the dog, so you can just imagine that with your imagination. And they are injured and untreated. Actually, I watched a video on YouTube, okay, about a dog shelter, and majority of the dog, they are injured because they were fighting with one another. Okay, so since they are living in a very overcrowded space, so they fight for the space and also for the food. So that explains the injury of the dog. And you know, as you can see here, they are feeding on I don't know what. Okay, so you can say that they are not getting enough food. But I would suggest, when somebody does not have proper meal and proper nutrition, how to give nutrition to the dog, and the dog cannot eat vegetable, kan? Okay, so you can say that the dogs are malnourished. Okay, so now so one tips that I would like to share with you guys tonight is the tips to elaborate. So every time when you come up with an idea, okay, for example, the condition of the dog, you can say that the dogs are dirty. Okay, you can use the formula of 5W1HES. What are these? Okay, first of all, 5W, you know this lah. Everybody knows the drill. W is for what, who, where, when, and why. And why is the best. Okay, I would say the best, the most functional. Okay, I would say idea for you to come up with elaboration. What about HES? Okay, H is how. Okay, so you ask lah, a question of to yourself how. For example, you say that, apa maksud unkempt? Okay, unkempt means tidak terjaga, tidak terurus. Okay, somebody or something that doesn't look properly kept. Okay, macam kalau awak ni orang kan, awak duduk sorang-sorang, rambut tak sikat. Okay, you can say that unkempt. You are unkempt. So how? For example, if you suggest, okay, we should try something new. How to try something new? Okay, suggest ways. Okay, to it. Okay, H is how. E is examples. Okay, to give examples is to give elaborations to your idea. Okay, and finally, S is so. So what you can give is the effect of that particular thing lah. Okay, for example, the dogs were living in a overcrowded space. So what's the effect of it? Okay, so you can say that, sebab diorang duduk dalam tempat yang sempit, mereka bergaduh sebab berebut makanan. They were fighting for food and space. So that is the effect of the problem. So my advice is maybe you can take one of these and another of these. If you are able to give example, then you can give example just like your BM teacher is giving you tips. Okay, isi huraian contoh. Okay, but if you are capable to only give some example, enough. You tak boleh huraikan, you tak boleh bagi reason, it's okay. Alright, so you can give, teacher, I just want to know how does the overall is calculated. Okay, okay, I'll take some time to answer Mac question. Okay, so now I have to insert a page. Okay, let's start with paper 1. Paper 1 is an objective paper with 4, I would say, subjective answer. Okay, which you have to write the answer, you have to spell the word. Okay, that consists of 40 questions. That means it is over 40 marks. Okay, for example, this is your marks. A. A is your score for paper 1. Okay, so for paper 2, the 3 essays, all of the 3 essays has the same distribution of mark, which is 20, 20, 20. That will bring you to 60 marks for paper 2. Okay, so it's very easy for you to score email. If you answer the question, you are going to get good marks. I cannot promise you that you are going to score 20, but it is very easy to score in email. So for example, if your email score 15, then your part 2 10, then your part 3 10. So you dah dapat what? 15, 10, 10, that's 10, 10, 10, 35 out of, okay, that will bring to B. Okay, paper 3, that is speaking, consists of 24 marks. Okay, which 6 mark comes from your interlocutor, your own teacher, the teacher who speaks to you. Okay, usually the interlocutor is our teacher, your teacher. Okay, sometimes maybe your own English teacher, but maybe sometimes it's another English teacher who actually teach in your school. The another 18 marks will come from the assessor. Okay, in real SPM, the assessor are usually teachers from neighboring school. Okay, so that brings to 24 marks. 18 plus 6. 6 from interlocutor, 18 from your assessor. 6, 6, 6, 18. Okay, so that brings to C, your marks for paper 3. And paper 4, there's 30 questions for listening. Okay, 20 objective questions. Okay, ABC, D, E, F, G. Okay, and another 10, you have to spell the word. Okay, you have to fill in the blanks there with a word that you hear from the audio. Okay, so that brings to D. Okay, so at the end of the day, okay, A over 40, it will be converted into 25%. So if you get 40 out of 40 here, that means you have 25% from paper 1. So this one is also 25%. This one is also 25%. This one is also 25%. Okay, so it is equal. Okay, it brings to equal contribution of 25 marks for each paper. but there is a strategy to it. Okay, the strategy is for example, look at this. This has the smallest mark. Okay, so kalau you dapat 12 kat sini, maknanya 12/24. Kalau contoh interlocutor bagi you 3, then your assessor bagi you 3, 3, 3, 3 for grammar, 3 for vocab, 3 for communicative competence. You dapat 3 kali 4, 12. 12/25, this is like 25 bahagi 2 would be what? 14? Okay, 14 or 13? 13, 13.5. Okay, so you dah boleh, actually you dah boleh calculate dah lah berapa you punya target tu lah. Nak dapat 3, 3, 3 ni actually senang je. Alright, so you know that, okay, I think I can get more than 12 here. So up to you. You have to discuss with your teacher what are your strengths. Okay, so knowing here is 60, even though it is the biggest number among all, but you know, it's very, as I mentioned just now, it's very easy to score in email. Alright, so now let's go back to my slide just now. So this is my formula of elaborating. So every time when you have a point, you ask yourself why. You ask yourself example, you ask yourself so, you ask yourself bila. Okay, di mana? The dogs were living in an overcrowded space. Where? In that shelter. But that's very simple. So you can ask your question, you can ask yourself the question of why. Why they are living in overcrowded spaces? Because there's so many dogs. So tulislah yang panjang sikit. Because the shelter did not have enough room for the growing number of rescued animals. Actually, you can just write a simple idea lah. Because the shelter is too small. Simple. Okay, but when you are writing it into your report later, you have to, you know, make it more, I would say that the language has to be better lah. Okay, next. Why lagi? The dogs were dirty and unkempt. Okay, why? Because they are not groomed. Okay, kenapa? Dia orang tak pergi mandi sendiri kan. So there were not enough staff and facilities to clean and to groom the dogs. Okay, the dogs were malnourished, injured and untreated. Why? Why they were injured? Maybe you can say that they were fighting with one another, or maybe you can say that the shelter lacked enough food. That's why they are malnourished, injured and untreated. So that's the reason is because they lack of medical supply. Okay, so it is like chain of ideas lah. Apa? Saya suka makan nasi sebab nasi sedap. It's like that. Okay, so moving on to writing the second paragraph. So bear in mind that when you are writing subheading, it has to be in capital letter. The condition of this one has to be animal in the center. I purposely write in small letter to show you that. Okay, so the first question asks you to describe the condition of the animal. So firstly, you kena jawab straight to the point lah. How's the condition? The condition is good or bad? Okay, so the condition, maybe you can say that the animals at the rescue center were in poor condition. You tak boleh, maybe the word bad is inappropriate here, because kalau kita nak cakap tandas kita kotor kan, kita boleh cakap, oh my toilet is so bad. So maybe you can avoid that word. Okay, the animals at the rescue center were in poor condition. Or maybe you can say that they were deeply concerning. Okay, that's a very good, if you are talking about something that's very bad lah. For example, you have a brother who has an attitude problem. My brother is deeply concerning. His attitude is deeply concerning. That is more formal way of saying that my brother is having a very bad attitude. Okay, so usually when we want to introduce, not usually lah, I would say that if you want to introduce your first idea, your first point, okay, start with a cohesive device. Okay, so the first idea obviously has to be, to begin with, okay, I want to share with you the formula to introduce first idea. Okay, usually I teach my students using acronyms. Okay, to introduce the first idea, sometimes we always use the word firstly, firstly kan, nanti dia jadi bosan. So remember this formula, F-I-T. Okay, F is for first, and first has siblings. Okay, first there are variation of it. Okay, the first variation is first, firstly, first of all, first and foremost. Okay, first and foremost is, I would say that that's a very good choice of word. Okay, next, initially. Okay, to introduce the first idea initially. Okay, if you want to introduce steps, initially we have to do something. Next, the word to. Okay, to start, to begin with, and also to commence. Okay, all of this FIT means first, which is used to introduce the first idea. Okay, always, because I have found some candidate who introduce the first idea with furthermore, and that is inappropriate, inapt use of um, cohesive device. To begin with, the dogs were, okay, so you state the first condition of the dog. The dogs were living in overcrowded space. So that's your point. So bila kita huraikan, when we elaborate, okay, for example, kita nak cakap why. Okay, kenapa mereka tinggal dalam tempat yang sempit? Why? So we can use the word because, right? So instead of saying the word, the dogs, why were dua kali guys? Okay, the dogs were living in an overcrowded space. Sorry. Okay, in an overcrowded space. Okay, so why? So we would say because, okay, the shelter is too small to cater the number of dogs. So here I use the word due to, okay, to indicate reason. Okay, due to, but be careful, after the word due to there should be a cause. Okay, there should be a noun. Okay, due to lack of space for the growing number. Okay, which means that disebabkan oleh something. Okay, I give you an example. Okay, majority of the car accident happens because, kalau awak guna perkataan because, you tak boleh guna perkataan due to. Kerana kebanyakan kemalangan jalan raya di Malaysia berlaku kerana mereka memandu dengan berbahaya. Pemandu memandu dengan berbahaya. Rakyat memandu dengan berbahaya. So when you have subject, verb and object, yes, you can use the word because, but not due to. Because due to has to be accompanied by a noun. Okay, for example, kalau you nak cakap disebabkan oleh kecuaian manusia, is due to human fault. Okay, so there should be the reason terus. Tak payah buat ayat dekat belakang. Tak payah ada SV and object dekat belakang. Okay, next. To introduce the second idea, because here, the green ones, okay, this green sentence is actually the point. Okay, this is my idea. And the second one in orange is the elaboration. So, nak elaborate lagi ke tak? Up to you. Okay, but I would suggest that if you have no more ideas to elaborate, just go to the second point. Okay, the second point. Okay, in order for you to introduce the second point, you can use the word in addition, you can use the word furthermore, you can use the word subsequently. Okay, so what are among some of the cohesive device that you can use to introduce the next idea? Okay, again, another acronym, okay, which goes into Fimbas. Okay, Fimbas ni kalau it's in Malay, kita panggil seterusnya lah, to introduce the next point. Not the first point, the next point. Okay, furthermore, with 3R, furthermore, furthermore, because I found that a lot of candidates do not know how to spell furthermore. They usually spell furthermore. Okay, this is wrong. Okay, next. I is in addition. Remember, addition, not addiction. Okay, next is moreover, and they are happy couple. Don't separate them. Okay, B is besides, with S at the back. Okay, A is additionally. and S is subsequently. Okay, and FIMBAs are, suitable to be used in a report context, the context of formal writing. Okay, so in addition, you can say that many dogs. Okay, instead of saying that 300 dogs, because you cannot count the number of dogs, right? So you can use the word many here, because overall you can see that, quite a number of dogs appeared how? Appeared what? Appeared dirty and unkempt. Okay, why? Sorry. Because, okay, instead of the word because, I use the word as. Okay, I use the word as. I tak guna perkataan because. But, because is like, it's everywhere. When we speak, we use because. So, if they are dirty, these dogs are dirty. How about the use of in spite of? Okay, what is the meaning of the word in spite of? Okay, in spite of, is that wrong? Mm, it has to be used in proper context. Okay, in spite of, as we usually use in spite of to introduce an idea that is contradicting to our idea. Okay, so macam you nak kata in spite of A, okay, it's B. It's like that. Okay, so in spite of is not wrong, but it is not used to sequence idea. Saya ulang, in spite of is not used to sequence idea. Yeah, idea number satu ke idea number dua, in spite of, unless, okay, idea number two is A, idea number two is contradicting to idea number one, then you can use the word in spite of. But to sequence the same idea, kalau idea tu positif, A, B, C positif, then you kena ni lah, you kena guna FIMBAS tadi, ataupun anything that is used to introduce to sequence, to introduce the next idea, to sequence ideas. Okay, so now reasons. Instead of the word because, you can use the word since, you can use the word due to the fact that, okay, tadi due to, but just now I said due to mesti digunakan after, due to mesti digunakan before a reason lah. Okay, straight to the point reason. Tapi kalau you nak guna due to the fact that, kerana, so you need a subject, verb and object after that. Okay, for example, they are dirty and unkept because there were not enough staff and proper facilities to clean and care for the dogs. Okay, so this is the subject. This is the subject. This is the verb. Were not enough staff. Okay, this is the object lah. Okay, this is what my teacher told me in 1999. Okay, SVO because SVO. Okay, so the word because has to be used with another independent clause. Okay, so the word there, the sentence that there were not enough staff and proper facilities to clean and care for them regularly can stand as a sentence. So this is a subject, verb and object. This is a independent clause, an independent clause. Okay, so the third point is, I use furthermore, some of the dogs, some were malnourished and malnourished, injured and untreated. Why? Okay, kenapa? Because mereka tak ada enough medical supply. Since the center or the animal center did not have enough medical supply. That's the idea. So make it into sentence. The shelter did not have. Kita boleh tukar kepada lacked. Okay, saya kurang. Okay, kurang something lah. My school kurang facility. Okay, teacher, can we use drawback for problem boleh. Okay, if you want to say that, okay, there are numbers of problems, okay, then you can use the word drawback there to replace the word problem. Okay, the shelter lack enough food and medical, because the word drawback is very general. Okay, macam the word problem lah. But this one, dia bagi tahu problem in specific terms. Lack of medical supply. Kalau you just cakap, since there were so many problems in the shelter, what kind of problem? Please explain in detail. Okay, so medical supply. Again, bear in mind that after the sentence, you have to put full stop. Okay, next paragraph. Now, this question is rather tricky because in a question, there are two things that is required to be fulfilled in that question itself. Dia ada dua benda yang dia nak dalam soalan tu. The first one is the activities. Okay, so note that the word activities is plural, so you have to give more than one activity. Dua pun lebih dari satu, so two is enough. But if you give two, please actually elaborate it well. Another advice to the candidate. Kalau you tak pandai elaborate, you bagilah banyak idea. Okay, contohnya the activities. First, the activity is singing competition. Okay, maybe among students. Okay, the second activity was blah blah blah. The third activity was blah blah blah. Later, in the late before the program ended, there were prize giving ceremony. So there are 4 activities there instead of 2 activity. Dia tercomok je kat situ, it's not elaborated. So but if you can elaborate well, itu is enough. Okay, so the first activity is repairing lah. Bila kita pergi buat gotong royong, that's very usual where we go and paint the place kan. We clean the place. So I would choose the word repairing instead of painting. Sebab kalau 25 orang takkan all the 25 students go and paint the center kan. Okay, so repairing and maintenance work. Okay, how to elaborate this? Okay, maybe you can say, kenapa buat repairing? Okay, kenapa you buat maintenance work? Kenapa you cat? Why do you paint the place? So, to improve the appearance. Okay, and actually before this, I was thinking about stating some examples of maintenance work that you do. For example, repairing the broken cages, painting the shelter. Those are examples. Boleh juga you bagi. Okay, next one is bathing and grooming. So, since it's a dog shelter, okay, so what we do is we give a shower to the dog lah. Okay, kenapa nak mandi? Why do we have to groom the dog? Because they are dirty. To improve their hygiene. Okay, instead of the word cleanliness, I use the word hygiene, comfort, including. Okay, this is the example of activity that 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 was done, okay, during the grooming activity. So after they shower the dog, they conduct a flea control procedure, memberi ubat kutu kepada anjing-anjing itu. Okay, so the second part of the question asks you to give what you learned. Okay, so you have to give some lessons. So I would give you a lesson that is global. Okay, you pergi camping, this is what you learn. You pergi program reducing the plastic pun you boleh belajar benda ni. Okay, so the first one is teamwork and cooperation. Okay, because when you organize a program, obviously you will learn teamwork because you work in a team. Okay, so what is teamwork? Okay, so what do you learn? When you learn teamwork, what do you learn? So I learn the importance of working together. Okay, so kepentingan bekerjasama. Okay, so this is what I call as defining. Okay, teamwork, what is defining what is teamwork. So I learned teamwork and cooperation, which is, okay, the importance of working together. What is teamwork? Teamwork, I learned the importance of working together. Okay, next, animal care skills. Okay, yang ni memang you tak boleh belajar lah kalau you pergi camping. Only when you go to an animal rescue center, you can learn animal care skill. For example, okay, you can say that grooming the animal, handling the animal, you learn hands-on experience on feeding the animal, the basic needs of the dog and the dog behavior. So when you are writing the paragraph, start with the subheading here. Subheading. Okay. Do you have to underline the subheading? No. Okay. If you underline, that's better lah. But no need. Okay. The first part of the question asks about activities. During the volunteer program, there are several activities conducted. Okay. Several activities were conducted. This is a passive voice. Okay. But I add the word meaningful, interesting, beneficial activities, educating activities, informative activities. Up to you. You can include adjective to it. Okay, this included repairing. Okay, just now the idea of repairing and maintenance work are the same. So I boleh tambah along with untuk replace the word and. Okay, repairing along with maintenance work. Instead of using the word and, you can use the word along with maintenance work. Okay, in order to, this actually explains why. Okay, kerana ataupun supaya. Okay, in order to, so there must be an effect to it. Okay, what's the effect? Sorry. Improve the appearance. Sorry. Improve the appearance of. So when they do repairing, the effect is they improve the appearance of the animal rescue center. So the next activity is helping. The volunteers also help with bathing and grooming in order to, why? Why they do? In order to improve hygiene and comfort. So you can see that this is not good because the same words appeared twice. Okay, so uh, just just in order for you to fix this situation, what you can do is just to padam in order. Okay, for example, along with maintenance work to improve the appearance, because the word to is indicating, you know, the reason and sorry the effects. Okay, so improve hygiene and comfort. So the next point that we are including, sorry, okay, I'm giving example here, including. So you can use the word including to give example. We have to eat healthy food ataupun we have to take healthy diet, including carbohydrate, vegetable and fruit in our daily meal. Okay, so this is an example. So note that in this point, bathing and grooming, there are two elaborations that I have given. This is the point. This is elaboration number one. Sorry, E1. This is elaboration number two by giving example. Okay? Is it okay if I just want to give one elaboration? Okay lah. Yeah? But if you are aiming for better, you can elaborate more lah. Okay? Through this task, we learn. Okay, because the second part of the question is asking about what you learn. Okay, what you learn. So you tak boleh jawab what I learn. So instead of writing the word I, what we learn, because you are representing everybody. To the task, we learn teamwork and cooperation, which was the importance of working together to complete tasks efficiently. So this is a complex sentence, which is actually good. Yeah? If you write a complex sentence, it actually awards you mark for language and also organization at the same time, because there are two things here in this sentence. We learn teamwork and cooperation. Okay, we learn the importance of working together. All right, so there are two ideas joined together by this one, which was subordinating conjunction. All right, next point. Instead of using the word next, okay, please avoid the use of the word next. Additionally, we gain, okay, tadi we learn, we gain, we acquire, okay, those are good, okay, choices of words. We gain what? Animal care skill, because skills is something that you gain, okay. We learn, boleh juga. Tapi dah learn tadi dah guna, you've used the word learn in the previous sentence. So I changed the word learn to gain animal skills, such as, okay, give examples of it. Hands-on experience in feeding and grooming. But, okay, when you want to give, usually when we give examples, I usually teach my students to give 3 examples. Okay, feeding and grooming, as well as the third thing that you learn, a better understanding of the animal behavior. So, apa yang awak belajar? 3 example, feeding, grooming, understanding of animal behavior. So, joined by as well as. Sama juga macam kamu guna and. Feeding, grooming, and a better understanding of animal behavior. But I replace the word and with as well as. Okay, so let's move on to the last question. Okay, suggestions. Okay, just now I mentioned that every time when you want to give suggestion, always come with the stakeholder that needs to take the action. Okay, so whether it is school, parents, teachers, government, community members, public. So instead of using the word we, okay, I give you an example of why the word we is not proper there. Okay, we did a report on apa nama uh, a trip to zoo. Okay, how we improve the future trips. Okay, so my students answered, okay, we have to make sure that the trips are longer. Siapa we? Am I part of the we? Sebab we kat situ kita kan. Siapakah kita? Saya sekali ke? Saya tak nak. So if you use the word we, that's very general. So make it specific. Is it the teacher? Is it the school? Is it the organizer? Is it the government kan? Ataupun is it the Ministry of Education? Contohnya lah. Be specific. So the first suggestion is suggestion saya lah, walaupun tak berapa logik kan. Okay, the authorities can expand the shelter space, so make the shelter bigger. Siapa yang sepatutnya, who should make the shelter bigger? Okay, so you can say the authorities, the management of the shelter, ataupun tak, the government can expand the shelter space kan. The state government, contohnya government kerajaan negeri Selangor, the state government can expand the shelter space. Okay, sorry. Why? Okay, kenapa? Kenapa nak besarkan? Okay, to reduce the overcrowding and improve the living condition. Kenapa nak besarkan? Supaya mengelakkan masalah to overcome the problem of overcrowding and improve the conditions of the animals in that shelter. So the second stakeholder is the management. Okay, the management of the animal shelter, including, yang ni saya campur sikit, including the public, because usually this shelter actually survive with the public donation kan. So the management the management with the support from public, the management and the community members. Okay, siapakah yang sepatutnya buat benda ni? So what they should do, the management and the public should make sure, saya tak nak guna perkataan make sure, should ensure enough, I substitute with the word adequate food and medical supplies, because part of the problem that happens in the animal shelter is lack of medical and food supply. So kenapa kena ensure adequate food and medical supply to meet their basic needs. Okay, to fulfill their basic needs, the animals' basic needs, and support their recovery. So the next stakeholder, as students, okay, saya sebagai kami lah kita, we as students, we can also do something to improve the condition of the animal rescue center by we enhance the public awareness, organize the adoption campaigns. Okay, so kita kena buat campaign, so powerful So kalau kita buat campaign, what's the effect? We can increase the community involvement and reducing the overcrowding. A lot of students nowadays, they are influencers. You have more followers than me. So you can also enhance the public awareness by advocating the animal love, the animal care through your social media. We can organize adoption campaign. How? Through social media. Okay, Then you can give example to social media such as TikTok and YouTube. Okay, so moving on to the last not the last paragraph, the second last paragraph. Okay, I would suggest if you have more than one ideas, start your paragraph with a topic sentence. Okay, this is not part of my slide, but I just want to uh, give you. Okay, you have point number one, point number two, and point number three. Suggestion number one is the authority. Suggestion number two is the management. Suggestion number three is student. Okay, as students, they can do something. So there are three activities here. So now, in order for you to start your your paragraph when you have three ideas, four ideas, more than one ideas, you can start with a topic sentence. What is a topic sentence? Topic sentence is the sentence that summarize the idea of the paragraph. It is written as the first sentence. Sorry, first sentence of the paragraph. So when people read the first sentence, people know that this paragraph is going to discuss about suggestion, importance, examples, problems, conditions and stuff. But please make sure that you have more than one ni lah, more than one content or ideas. Okay, so what is the formula to write topic sentence? The formula is TAM. Okay, this credit goes to a primary school teacher. I have read her research, okay, how she taught her students about Tam and Tia. Okay, this is formula by that teacher. I'm sorry, I forgot the name, but kudos to that teacher. Thank you for teaching me this formula. And I found that this formula is very helpful when it comes to writing ayat yang bermula dengan ada, banyak ataupun terdapat satu. Okay, terdapat banyak. So usually when students want to write, ada banyak sebab mengapa masalah ini terjadi. So usually student will write, have many reason why this problem happen. Okay, ada satu rumah di situ. Have one house at that place. Okay, so you just forget Tia. Let's go to Tam. What is Tam? Tam stands for there are many. Then what your paragraph is talking about? There are many reasons. There are many suggestions. There are many importance. There are many lessons. Okay, there are many problems. Okay, so use the word there are many reasons behind this problem. There are many suggestions to improve the conditions of blah 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 blah. There are many importance, but importance you cannot add s to it. Okay, so just put importance as it is. There are many lessons that I learned, that we learned from the program. Okay, so the word many can be replaced with anything that means many lah, such as you can use the word there are plenty of, there are several, there are numbers of, there are numerous, okay, and so on, which means many. Okay, so there are many reasons, there are plenty of reasons, there are several suggestions, there are numbers of importance, there are numerous lessons. Okay, so that's the formula of writing a topic sentence. Okay, remember topic sentence is the beginning of the paragraph, body paragraph, perenggan isi. Okay, so here there are several ways to improve the condition. This is the topic sentence. Why the line is so distorted? Okay, there are several ways to improve the conditions of the animal rescue center. Okay, this is the topic sentence. Why is it important to write topic sentence? Sebab dia nak elakkan I just want to you know the topic sentence is actually going to make your paragraph better sebab you tak mula dengan first. Tiba-tiba first je kan. Macam first apa benda ni? Itulah. So there are several ways to improve the condition of the animal rescue center. Okay, to begin the first sentence, I guna firstly. Okay, firstly, the authorities, this is the first stakeholder, can expand the shelter space untuk buat apa? Untuk reduce the problem, to reduce overcrowding. Next, additionally, the management, this is the second stakeholder, with the support from public, should ensure adequate food and medical supplies, should ensure enough food supply, enough food and medical supply. But I want to avoid the use of the word enough because the word enough is a very common word. Okay, next. Ensure the food and medical supply, to ensure the, sorry, tak ada titik kat sini, to ensure, to meet the basic needs and support their recovery. Okay, kalau contohnya you nak letak sampai sini je. For example, until here. The public should ensure adequate food and medical supply. Bagaimana? By donation. By collecting donation and making crowdfunding, for example. You cadangkan how. Okay, because just now when I teach you 5W1H, ES, how is part of it. Okay, basic needs and recovery. So last point of the day, I use the word lastly. I found that a few students use the word lastly to make conclusion. Actually, the word lastly is for sequencing and you are indicating the last point. So the word lastly is more appropriate to be used for the last point. Last point of the discussion. As student, we can also do something. We can also play a role by enhancing. Okay, instead of using the word improving, raising pun bagus juga kan, enhancing public awareness and organising adoption campaigns, thereby thereby is showing effects, is one of the cohesive device to show effect. So by increasing community involvement. So now, just now saya cakap pasal I did mention about social media, enhancing public awareness and organising adoption campaign, for example on social media. Kalau itu yang paling senang bagi awak, because the word campaign kan kita boleh buat online. Okay, so we can say that for example, by organising online campaign through social media applications, social media platforms such as YouTube, Telegram berada, apa nama, TikTok and stuff. Okay. So finally, writing conclusion. Okay, for a report, okay, the conclusion of a report usually indicate whether that program is successful or not. So the summary of the program, okay, or the summary of the survey lah. Okay, contohnya kalau you are reporting the summary of the outcome of a survey, maybe you can say that based on the survey, it was found out that, okay, didapati bahawa, it was found out that majority of the students are dissatisfied with the canteen, the condition of the school canteen. Contohnya lah. Okay, you give the summary. Okay, the summary of the survey. So here is a report of a program. So summarize whether the program is a success or not. Okay, so second, in the conclusion paragraph, in the concluding paragraph, you can actually indicate your hope. What is your hope for the next activity, or maybe your hope in the future, your hope for the animal shelter and stuff. Okay, I'll just show you to sum up. Okay, because the formula to write conclusion, okay, I always teach my student that giving conclusion, there are also two tones of using the cohesive device of in conclusion. Okay, the word in conclusion is very suitable for both formal and informal writing. So kalau you nak tulis, if you are writing a review, for example, you write in conclusion, I would recommend this product to everybody. That is also okay. But sometimes the students, they want to play with words, and they use the word all in a nutshell and stuff. Okay, so for conclusion or in conclusion, these are the acronyms that I use. The three T's are for formals, then A1A1 sebab in my school there is a classroom called 1A1 kan, so IAI. Okay, so the three T's are for formal. So what are the three T's? T. To sum up, to summarize, and to conclude. These are appropriate for the formal setting. Okay, so the IAI, 1A1, okay, it is for in a nutshell, all in all. Another one is, apa yang satu lagi, I dah lupa. Can somebody help me? In a nutshell dah. All in all dah. Itu in conclusion ke apa? Okay, I forgot already lah. Okay, kita tulis lah in conclusion senang. Okay, so this IAI is actually suitable for the semi-formal and informal setting. Okay, so for report, maybe you can try to use the 3T, the 3T formula to start the conclusion. So you can use in conclusion, no problem, but in conclusion is a common quasi device. Okay, to sum up, the volunteer program was a meaningful and successful effort. So that indicates whether it is a success or a flop. Okay, so mention here, okay, the activities made out a positive impact. Tapi I letak sebab nak guna juga perkataan although. Tadi kawan kita pakai perkataan in spite of. In spite of many challenges that happened, the activities carried out made a positive impact. So you can use the word in spite of here. Okay, and finally the one in green is actually your hope. Okay, more people will be involved in future programs. So what is your hope for future program? Okay, not your hope lah. Hope of everybody in the team. It is hope. That's why I didn't write I hope. Okay, what the fuck? I hope. I didn't use the word I hope. It is hope because that's passive voice. It is hope, diharapkan. So, okay, adalah diharapkan bahawa ataupun I don't know lah, nanti BMI salah lah. Okay, it is hope that more people will become involved in future program. The second hope is these people continued their support. We will have continued support from the public and authorities. Actually, you can just come up with one hope only. It is hope that the school will organize a future program like this next year. Sudah. Very simple one. It's just that you cannot write I hope. That's all. Boleh tulis, but your mark is like, we know that you use the inappropriate register in your report. So I think that's all for today, guys. So 1.5 hours. I hope it's enough for everyone to learn something from me. So if you have any question, you can just why can't we put S in importance? Okay, woof bark. Okay. Woof bark. Okay, why we can't put S in importance? Because importance is uncountable. Okay, you cannot count importance. It's the same thing as knowledge and information. Okay, you tak boleh tambah information S. There are a lot of informations that I get. Okay, so if the word informations, you tak boleh tambah S to it. Knowledge pun you tak boleh tambah. Walaupun you learn a lot of knowledge, but you cannot put S to the word knowledge because knowledge is uncountable. Same goes to money, same goes to food. Okay, so for example, if you are writing an essay about food, okay, for example, food review and stuff, please make sure that you don't we have to eat a lot of foods, okay, because food is uncountable. Can you please repeat 5W1HES? Can lah, Farah, no problem. 5W1H stands for HES. This is a formula for you to elaborate. Tapi jangan guna semua, you select. You shall select. Okay, select Y. 5W you know lah. And Y is the most functional one. The 5W, who, where, when, what and why. So among all of these 5W, saya sangat suka. I love why the most. Okay, and also what. Okay, sebab what tu is like you define something lah. Contohnya you kata, we have to organize a campaign. What campaign? Which is a campaign to advocate blah 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 blah. Okay, next. Why? One, this is not I. 5W1H is how. So you explain macam mana you nak buat cadangan you tu ataupun idea you tu, macam mana nak jalankan dia. E is example. S is so. So you explain the effect of your idea. Okay. Teacher, how can I score on part 4? Part 4 mana Amirul Ashraf, can you explain to me what part 4? Which part is part 4? Okay, part 4 paper 1 ke? Okay. Appeared, apa maksud dia teacher? Oh, sorry lah, saya tak baca yang komen-komen That's why I tak pernah buat YouTube live pula, TikTok live, sebab I know that I'm not a very good TikTok host Nanti I will just ignore the message. So sorry. Okay, hello teacher, hi everyone. Is article the same thing as report and story? No, MEC, M-E-C-H macam nak sebut MEC ke? Okay MEC, article is not the same. Okay, article dalam bahasa Melayu kita panggil rencana. Report is laporan, story is cerita. Okay, article is usually the purpose is to give information. Okay, so for example, kalau you tulis an article about your favorite online game, so that article should actually explain about the game. Okay, so you tak payah jual pun game tu, you just bagi tahu lah the best online game that you can play is Valorant, dan you terus jual pasal Valorant. Bukan jual, you terus explain about Valorant. Okay, there was one time when I actually read an article about Valorant. That article was so informative that I can actually explain to my son what is Valorant, and my son started to play Valorant. Punya bagusnya artikel yang ditulis oleh budak SPM. It's very informative and I can actually explain to my son. My son started to download the game and play it himself. Okay. I just want to, okay dah jawab. Malnourished. Okay, Mayrin yang tanya pasal malnourished. Okay, malnourished is when someone does not have enough nutrition. Okay, you contohlah, human can be malnourished lah. For example, you tak makan sayur, lepas tu badan you pus kering, you are malnourished. Okay, appeared maksud dia nampak. Okay, nampak macam. Okay, dan. Okay, now students, maybe you can just leave some comments on my Padlet. Okay, so that next time I can improve in the future lah. Maybe next time I'll have another session lah if there's a request. Okay, there are requests by the students. I would have because the reason why I actually decided to have this class, and it's done via YouTube live, not a Google Meet. Usually I have a class on Google Meet. It's because I would love to have more audience. Okay, I would love to approach more audience because I found that actually report is a very good piece of writing that students can write because it's very straightforward. It's just that this essay is very technical. Okay, let's read from Sharifah Nasira. Teacher, when I write essay, sometimes there has some words that I don't know. So I can't do the sentence. How I want to do the essay? Okay, macam ni apa saya nak cakap saya cakap dalam bahasa Melayu lah senang. Okay, kalau kita baca soalan kita baca soalan, kita macam apa ni kan, jauhilah soalan itu. Alright, jauhilah soalan itu. Okay, so especially for part 3. But for part 2, you cannot run away. You have to answer the question itself. So my tips for you, okay, just my tips for the SPM candidate is actually to understand only the keyword of the question. Contohnya, soalan why, they are asking for reason. So you kena jawab because. Okay, contohnya contoh saya bagi soalan. Why do you find the advertisement interesting? You tak faham perkataan advertisement tu je. Tapi you faham why ialah because why is kenapa. So without understanding the word advertisement pun you sebenarnya boleh jawab soalan tu. Sebab soalan why mesti ada because. And should I just I don't think there's a problem for me to share this. So now I found that my students when it comes to question why, diorang tak boleh fikirkan sebab. Sebab they are stuck, they have no idea, or the idea is in BM, cannot be translated to English. So when I this is my tips to especially weaker students. When you are asked question why, remember that the answer is because nisbah. Okay, I teach my student with a lot of acronyms. So for the acronyms for the question why, contohnya, why do you love me? Okay, so you can say because N is from the word nice. Why do you like the advertisement? Why do you find the advertisement interesting? Because the advertisement is nice. The picture in the advertisement is nice. So you answer the question already. Okay, I is the word interesting. For example, if the question you are writing a review, then dia kata, what makes the food special? What makes the food special? Same goes, it's the same question as why do you think the food is special? Okay, I like the food because, ataupun I think what makes the food special is because it has interesting taste. Because the food is interesting. Okay, so you can use the word interesting in any context of the why question. Even though your girlfriend contohnya tanya lah, okay sayang, do you love me? Yes. Why do you love me? Kenapa you sayang I? Because you are interesting. That answers the question. S is for stress. Okay, so the word stress kena datang dengan it can release ataupun reduce my stress. So why do you love me? Because you can reduce my stress. You can release my stress. Why do you love nasi lemak? I love nasi lemak because eating nasi lemak can release my stress. So this is a formula to help the weaker student. Bear in mind that if you are good, avoid lah. Janganlah pakai. Saya bagi ni just for the weaker students who found a problem in macam tadi kawan kita katalah, saya tak faham perkataan tu. Tapi kamu kena faham dia punya apa nama? Please. Muhammad Haziq Fahmi, silakan share. Okay. So kadang-kadang you tak faham soalan tapi you faham kata kunci why tu you dah boleh jawab dah sebenarnya. B is for better. So because it makes me better. Dan perkataan me tu boleh tukar. It makes everybody better. It makes everything better. Okay, why do you love nasi lemak? Because eating nasi lemak makes me better. So if you're good, then you boleh explain lah. It makes me better because it has a lot of nutrition in nasi lemak. Factually it's not true lah kan. Tapi betul lah nasi lemak ada karbo, ada protein. Okay, next, a lot of benefits. Okay, because it has a lot of benefits. Ataupun they have a lot of benefit. Why do you love me? Because you give me a lot of benefits. Okay. Why do you like nasi lemak? Because it has a lot of benefits. The benefits of eating nasi lemak is you can get energy from the carbohydrate from the rice. Contohnya. And finally is happy. It makes me happy. It makes everybody happy. Dan sebagainya. Why do you love me? Because you make me happy. Okay. Why do you like the advertisement? Why do you think the advertisement is interesting? I think the advertisement is interesting because it makes me happy. Awak dah berjaya menjawab soalan. Okay. So second tips, bukan second dah ni, dah banyak tips. Then another tips that I want to tell students. Please write what you know. Don't write what you don't know. For example, you nak tulis satu perkataan ni dalam bahasa Melayu tu, tapi you nak juga a classical example. This is what happened in my school during speaking test. Where do you have dinner? Where you usually have dinner? Dia nak jawab tu dia nak jawab restoran tu yang mak dia bawa dia semalam tu. Tapi dia tak tahu nama kedai makan tu. Actually, kalau you jawab, okay, just a simple, I usually have dinner at Aeon. Padahal dekat tempat you Aeon tak ada. There's no problem, guys. Okay, what we want is for you to answer the question. It doesn't have to be correct. It has to answer the question. That's the tips. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm expecting this question from Fei Chow. My teacher said that my essay is too long-winded. Okay, very good. I love this kind of me. Okay, so Fei Chow, first of all, you have to answer the question. Okay, instead of elaborating too much, keep the elaboration maximum of 2. For example, 5W1HES tadi kan. So you have 1 point, you have 1 elaboration, you have 1 example. Enough. Moving on to the next point. I believe that Fei Chow, you have a lot of idea to write. Sometimes you are carried away with your idea. So that's it. Writing too long essay is good and not good at the same time. Okay, first, it's good because sometimes you have so many essay, the essay can be very informative and interesting. But it's not good because when we write too long essay, it could be also boring at the same time. It might be interesting to you, but it's boring to the examiner. Next is when you write too long, you tend to make mistake. Okay, you tend to make mistakes. So keep it straight to the point by answering the question, elaborate, moving on to the next question. Because you only have 1.5 hours to write everything, you are not novelist. Okay, teacher can because switch to S instead. Um, I think, I don't think so. Okay, instead is um, as you are moving to another point, macam you are contradicting idea. Instead of buying from the supermarket, you can buy from the open air markets because they offer more discounts. Okay, article review writing, please, inshallah. Okay, if there's a request, why not? Okay, uh, why not? Okay, I would love to share. Okay, since our trial is so around the corner, kan? So I really hope that my session today, sorry, not tonight, is very informative for you and it's helpful for you guys lah. Okay, so I think that's all for tonight lah. Can we go back to the moderator, Maizatul, Madam Maizatul?
All right. Thank you, Madam Rashida, for the informative session. I believe the tips are useful for the students and also the teachers when you want to write a report for your writing paper, if you choose to write a report, all right? Because usually students seldom choose to write a report because they think that it's quite difficult to score, all right? Okay,
Actually,
if you have
story is more difficult, right?
yeah, score.
Mm.
Personally, if you are not creative enough and if you don't have good language, try to avoid from writing a story. Personally lah, we think that story is more
Waiting.
difficult only. There's one more question, Madam Rashida from Amirul Ashraf.
Teacher boleh tak kalau a lot diganti dengan my rates? Okay, good question. My rates tak boleh letak kat depan. Okay, but it has to have off kat belakang. My rates off. Ada S. Okay, my rates off. This means many. Boleh? Okay. Buruk ni tulisan. Okay.
Okay, do we have more questions? All right, as we go along, for those who are watching, please leave a comment or feedback at the Padlet link provided. Okay, you feel free to leave any comment about the session that we have tonight, or if you think that you want Madam Rashida to do another session for another part in our writing paper or other papers. Feel free to feel free to do so in the comment in the Padlet lah. Okay. Any more comments?
I think no more lah, Mai.
If there's no more, we have come to the end of today's session. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our speakers and also Cikgu Sufi for helping us today. Thank you, Madam Rashida, for sharing valuable tips and knowledge. All right. I also
Okay,
like to
you're
thank
welcome.
everyone here for your participation and attention throughout the session. We hope, me and Madam Rashida and I hope that you are feeling more confident and prepared to write an effective report. Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.